Okay, and we are live! Welcome back and hello, everybody! I hope everyone is having a wonderful Thanksgiving today. But let's get things started. So, I'm sitting in my horde thinking how I could celebrate off of Thanksgiving as a holiday, and I thought, you know what, I can 3D model. Let's do a 3D art stream. So that's what we're doing today. And hopefully it will turn out better than that board on my right. Oh, I forgot to mute my test for no lag screen. Sorry about that. But let's actually start some 3D modeling up. I'm gonna put and get this window in the right place. Now, for Thanksgiving, we are going to be modeling a cornucopia. It said either you know it from the Hunger Games or you know it from the stereotypical Thanksgiving art of the basket thingy. So, and So, like any Blender video, we are starting by deleting and adding back to default cube because of our muscle memory kicking in too much. But I'm going to do something that I normally don't do when I'm 3D modeling, but I still want to anyway, is modeling on a subdivision surface. Because of the unique shape of the cornucopia, having it smoothed, but also having the geometry of it not being smoothed is going to be a really great help. So, let's find that modifier in the key thingy. I literally highlighted right over it. I feel like a total idiot. And let's maybe subdivide it a few more times to make it smooth. And when we're on the topic of making things smooth, let's actually apply smooth shading. Boom, it looks a slightly higher poly count now. It's that easy. Except it's a lot more than that, but first off, we are going to start with the cornucopia kind of has this sort of lip on it. And for that, we are going to be using a loop cut. And this will just go pop, and then if we stretch it out, we can kind of get that small extra thing on the edge. And now, what is left for the cornucopia itself is the shape. Now, it's a little bit of a weird shape, but which is why we're using the subdivision surface to make it easier to get this round thing. And we are gonna just slowly yet surely curl it back some. And in fact, let's actually curl this thing back and shrink it down some. Now, as you can see, it's gonna need to be stretched a little at the end, but right now we are just getting the basic shape. And let's apply a rotation and shrink that down more drastically and make it more of a yeah, and we're really getting to the point where we just gotta do a little curly bit on the end. And essentially we almost now what we are gonna do here is interesting, is we're gonna fill the face, but we still want a particularly sharp thing. So what I'm going to do is model on tris instead of quads for this face, which essentially means we're dividing into triangles instead of squares. This adds the effect of giving us a little more geometry to play around with because everything we are doing is based on the vertice. Normally each vertice would correspond to one little part of the model, but we have the subdivision surface on, which means that essentially we are working with a auto smoothed version of the model, and this could use a little more thickness here. So let me just grab this here and let's pull this part down. The actual cornucopia itself is going to go fairly quick compared to the rest, but we are making good time here. Okay, and now let's select the actual thing. And as mentioned earlier, I want this to be a little more wider. And that kind of gets the effect we want, but it's a little more, well, hollow than we want it. So we are gonna do a second miniature cornucopia inside for like the interior. And this one will not have to go as far back because the camera will not see it in the end. And let's actually stretch this out some. And then we're going to do our next stretch. And for this, I'm going to go into wireframe mode so we can really see what we're working with. Wireframe essentially just makes it see-through and shows like all sides of the model at the same time. It's also really helpful to show like someone who does not know much about 3D modeling, like what a 3D model is made up out of. And oh, one of these, that the interior or the exterior? Seems to there be slightly messed up. Now let's pick a slightly better camera angle for this. Now and then rotate the cornucopia as needed. And I'm actually going to add the surface in advance because I do not want to make a background other than like a tabletop. And so we're just going to get this down in advance. And this seems like a pretty good angle for that. And ta-da. And what's also, while we're here, turn down the, like, essentially make it so we can't see outside what the background would see with the passport out. I'm almost certainly mispronouncing that. And oh, welcome to the stream, guys. We are currently making the cornucopia thing for Thanksgiving. And we're 3D modeling in Blender. And as we turn this back and down, and I'm going to actually go into modeling for the second tab, and this one is going to be a view of our camera angle. Now, we're going to, despite being the tab that's supposed to be for modeling, we are going to be messing around in it as if it was the viewport, just so I could switch between the actual viewport with one tab and this with like the two views. But it has the side effect of having to go out of modeling mode every time we just want to edit this. So, and we gotta, maybe we might have to make a slight adjustment to the camera angle. But now comes, let's actually stretch it out a small amount so it can fit a little more. And then we are gonna rotate it gently, and this looks like a good start. We're gonna mess around with it more later, but let's actually add some like texture to the table. Now I'm gonna try cycles, which may not be the best with streaming, because essentially what cycles does is it does ray tracing. And I can hear my computer already going nuts with its fan. And optics to slow it down some. Also, if there's a small amount of lag right now, I will be able to catch it on my stream. On like because I have like a little miniature thing on another window that shows the stream with your amount of delay. And it seems to be working well. So what we are going to do now is we are going to add a wave texture. Essentially what this will do is make it all, well, wavy and random, and we're going to use this to make a wood texture. So now what we are missing for this texture is a bump map, which essentially is going to translate it to a fake geometry where it's going to look 3D, but it's actually cleverly 2D and affecting the light. And we are going to add a wave texture, which is going to, like, not wave texture, I already have a wave texture, but what we are going to actually do is add a color ramp. Now the color ramp is going to make it so I have a little more control over what the wave texture is doing here. So now we have it just as bands, but let's distort it some to make it look a little more wooden. And it may not look like wood yet, but that's because we really need to add a few more small details. Like essentially what this will do, and what's actually turned down the strength a bit is that, and let's put all that black down there, and we're gonna replace this with a more brown color, and like a deep dark brown, and this with a pure black. Now it looks a little too shiny, so we're gonna turn down the strength on it some. We just want a small amount of strength. And and I also swapped the black and the brown. Let me just fix that. And now it looks like wood. And maybe add some more detail to the distortion. There, that looks more wood-like. And now we gotta reposition the cornucopia to actually look good in this shot. And we want this to be as big as possible while still fitting in the pre-done camera thing. As you might notice, when I move it in in that mode, it does like this weird square effect. This is because it's trying to do like ray tracing in something that no computer can really handle right now. Like this computer has an RTX, but it can't handle the level of ray tracing in real time, which is why it takes a second to do something called denoise. Because ray tracing naturally looks something a little more like with it. If we turn off denoising, you notice how there's like these dots everywhere, and it also takes time to calculate those. So that's just what it looks like without those. But now let's go back and add some actual texture to the cornucopia itself, and then let's get some like fruit and stuff in there. So we're going to use a similar style, except we're going to use two wave textures going in opposite directions. And now we just got to figure out which is, because it's going to depend on our angle, which is better for X and which is better for Y. And if we do this right, it should swap positions. Okay, now what we are going to need is a mix RGB. What this will do is just, it kind of like combines the two, and it will give us a really nice wicker texture with the two of these. Like this, and as you can see, it's only combining with the white now, and like this. So right now, it looks a little weird, but we are going to scale it down, change the color, and make it into a bump map. And the node I added right now is just a thing so we can change the scale in sync. So we are going to change it way up. And it won't be this noticeable because it's mainly just going to be a bump. Not a nump, a bump. I don't know why I typed that. So, and let's plug our color into our height. Now we have it as a bump, and we can change the color. And we are going to want like a little more of a bright color to set to like kind of go against the dark brown of the table. In fact, let's actually use this into a color ramp to make this a little more noticeable, and base color to base color, color to FAC, and then we have the ability to change both colors. So let's start with the base color. And actually, let's make this a little larger. And as we decrease the scale value, it gets larger because for this, the bigger the scale, the more of it is. Because it's a little confusing, but it's just like one of those things that you have to wrap your head around in life that is like an opposite situation. And we want like a really, in fact, let's almost make this a bit more orange. like yellow, but with a slight orange tint. And we are gonna do the lighting last once we have like all the fruit in and such. And now it's this weird color that kind of looks like human skin, but we are gonna change that. Yeah, this looks a bit too much like human skin. Let's fix that. And maybe if we just go back to, I want like more of a birch wicker. And although this gradient is nice, wait, what? Oh, I copied it off the wrong one. Oops. And let's maybe brighten this up some. This is this is looking a bit more cornucopia-like. And let's tone down the strength some as it's a little harsh and not really making it look as wickery as we want it to. Yeah, and that will do for the cornucopia for now. And now let's add some of the fruit. So I'm just going to temporarily hide everything that we don't need to see right now. And I'm going to start modeling the fruit. So I'm just going to do a UV sphere. Should probably go into the mode where it's temporarily lit because I also hid the lights. And we are going to shade this smooth. Next, and we're going to take a little bit of a shortcut and go into sculpting for this one to pull it out some. Let's up our radius. And let's make it a little more misshapen, but not too misshapen. There, we're kind of going for like a pear right now, or something similar. Yeah. And now let's actually add the stem. So let's just select some geometry we want to be the stem, and it's going to come out really low poly looking at first, but we are going to add more polygons and clean that the heck up. So we are just going to drag this here, and we are making good progress. Slow and steady, and now we can let's start by smoothing it out with the modifier before we make any like real changes. And maybe normally I would not just subdivide this, creating non-gons, which are essentially faces with more than 4 things, but we kind of are in a situation where we need that here. Or maybe, I have an idea. If we use the pre-done circle, that might work better. If we just because this is already in a perfect circle shape, it just needs to be brought slightly up there, and then we just gotta position the stem how we want it and make this much thinner, and then make it look a little more stem-like. Oh, I forgot the back side of this. So let's shrink this down, bring this down, and maybe move it that way a bit. And now let's add a bit of like a curve in it to make it look a little more organic. Organics aren't exactly my strong suit, but this is gonna look good because how simple it is, and we are going to twist this. Now, let's also add a few more in here and just use the round out to make it a little more like smooth, I would say. And now let's select this side. And now let's pull out the actual smooth tool. And it kind of does the job-ish. For this, I'm just going to move the nearby geometry too. And now the stem is at the top more, and let's pull it out some and turn off the proportional thingy. Oh, that's a little too much. There will work for now. And what's else? So maybe smooth this part down some, like that, and put it in as well. Okay, this is a little more complicated, but it's nothing the smooth brush can't fix. There. And what I'm going to like to do in this situation is pick temporary colors that get changed later on. So we're going to make a temporary red base color, which will not be the final color. And we are going to make the stem an obviously not final bright blue. Light blue being my favorite color, of course, though not this particular shade. And now we're just going to select the geometry we want it on. For this, we are using materials and not textures. A texture, which is normally used for like video games and stuff, and even this VTuber model, is just like a 2D image, where this is more just calculated through math. And now let's go into the actual shading and maybe unhide that light from before. And let's start with the bright blue. Yeah. First, we are going to make it a more darker color and add, you guessed it, another wave texture bump map. Set up. Oh, not wavelength, wave texture. And now what we are gonna do is plug this into a bump map again. And what this will do is, just like the table below it, is going to make it look a little more wooden or stem-like. And let's actually move this down into view some. It may look a little weird right now, but we are currently trying to fix that. So let's increase the scale and distort it some. There, now let's increase it a lot more. There, now for the stem, it looks a little more wood-like. And now let's go down to the actual part, and we are gonna add like a texture, which is essentially, let me find the texture. Okay, what this one normally does without color is it just makes it like this really weird kaleidoscope thing, which actually, believe it or not, is kind of what we want, but not wave texture, a ramp. I've been using so many wave textures in this video. And let's massively decrease the scale. And now, it may look weird now, but if we make it a more green color, we can have a pair. And let's change our second green to be a bit brighter. Maybe our first green as well, or this actually looks nice. Boom. Okay, next we are gonna put the pair into place in the final scene. And before I turn like this lighting back on, I'm just gonna move it like normal. And we are gonna reuse each fruit multiple times. And I want this to be maybe a bit bigger. Okay, let's have this be one of the ones like kind of leaning on the side of the cornucopia. And let's rotate it a bit. And I'm going to use 3 of the pairs because I'm going to use each fruit multiple times. And let's see how this looks from the camera. Hopeful. And let's put one just kind of like this. And let's put it in here and change the rotation some. And let's also put it more against the wall in there. See, like a lot of things we don't have to worry too much about because camera angle will fix it, but we do have to worry about it a little more once shadows come into play. And we aren't quite sure what the final light is going to look like at this point. And in the end, it's going to look like a big pile of fruit coming out of this. and general healthy food, which I guess think which is a little deceiving for Thanksgiving is the food may be healthy, but the amount you eat it in may not be as. And we're gonna, I think we might be able to get away with one more of these, but for now we are gonna start work on a pumpkin. So let's just add a cube. And for reference, this is the size of the original default cube we started with. Is we gotta make it look good in a pile. Like being a dragon, I see a pile of gold every day, so I know what a pile looks like. So I think I'm also gonna use a subdivision surface on this and subdivide it more than that. 3 cuts seem to do the cut, pun not intended, last time. So now what we are gonna do is add some loop cuts, and now all I can think of is that old movie Pumpkily the Square Pumpkin. Like I remember finding that and thinking, what the heck is this? But and maybe yeah, we are just gonna need one more row of loop cuts, and then we should have the geometry we need to make this pumpkin more, well, pumpkin-y. And add its like little stripy things. And let's also turn on the mirror modifier and to test to make sure it's work. Okay, I also still had proportional editing on. Yeah, okay. So now what we gotta do is select every other div. Oh, and I did it on an uneven number. If I added more, would that fix that? Okay. And as we add more, it's slowly becoming a little more square, but that is going to be fixed by the end of the pumpkin. Yeah, and we are doing well on this. Well, let me just... And now we should just... Now let's see if that fixed the issue some... I guess you can't, perfect. So let's actually go back to the previous size. And I guess it will look a little more organic because it's less perfect. So let's just select every other one, and we are going to make those like stripe things on it. And we are going to, kind of looks like a Minecraft pumpkin right now, but we are going to round the edges later. Like, and it's slowly but surely taking on its final shape. Slowly but surely. And we are going to select each one of these, and you're going to be a bit careful with... Yeah, we're just going to skip that side, and now let's make this not a Minecraft pumpkin. Now we just got to make sure all 4 sides are selected. And now we are going to turn on proportional editing to make it so that it... And let's actually bring it in some... Ooh. And we just gotta find a nice bounce. And this may look a little weird right now, but we are gonna fix it up. And so maybe let's round out the top. That will probably make it better. Okay, maybe, oh, I could just add some more geometry here, which means we have more, essentially, pixels to work with in this case. And we are gonna continue on with this. And we are gonna go up. Wait, that's the wrong axis. There, we're gonna go up. Oh, what? That's actually kind of what we need. Oh, and 1 sec, my view count got moved. But if I missed any welcomes, welcome to the stream. And we are... Now let's do the stem for the pumpkins. Ooh, we might want that a little thicker. And for the pumpkin stem material, we can literally just reuse the old stem material that we just made. And let's also go to sculpting and smooth some of the lazier parts of this out. Ooh, okay, maybe I need to decrease the radius. Well, actually, this is more of a call for a standard mode, and let's select this line and turn off proportional editing and make this a bit cleaner and bring that in. And we're going to bring this line in as well, like so. And now we just gotta find any ones like this that kind of stand out like a sore thumb. Which brings up an interesting misconception about us dragons and language of is English is a human-made language, so there's a bunch of weird things of you, despite having claws, dragons when speaking English will still use expressions like sore thumb. Though technically I guess I do have thumbs. I actually have 4 opposable ones. Here I can go to the up close view so you guys can see. And ta-da! You can just barely see them. But yeah, like, and what I'm trying to say is we use like thumb and claw like interchangeably. But let's get on with the pumpkin. Wait, am I still in? Oh, crud, I was in camera view. Okay, so I just completely messed up the camera view. Okay, we can still get it back. There. Okay, so where were we? Oh, yeah, we were adding texture to this. And this, and oh, welcome to the stream. We are just currently about to add texture to the pumpkin. This is what it is looking like so far. It's making slow but good progress. And it's going to look good by the end. We are making a cornucopia for Thanksgiving. And I should probably turn off that mode for when we move because it's a bit disorienting. And, well, okay, I think that's all the faces there. And now we gotta make 2 new ones. And the second new one, we are actually gonna reuse the old stem material, like so. And now that we see it in scale, we want to make that stem so much smaller. Smaller, yet taller. Like that. And now what we are going to do is we're going to start the oranginess of the base mesh. And and we actually missed a few of the things when we were going around smoothing the stuff out on this. Okay, where... Hopefully... I think for this, like, a really subtle, what we call a noise texture, which is essentially going to be like a bunch of random dots. And let's add, and we're going to put this into color temporarily just so we can see what we're working with. And let's also add a ramp. And a color ramp. And let's scale this down a lot. Now we're going to go into this and plug you into height. And oh, that is a little too much, so we're going to want to decrease it some until it's just barely there. Like this, and now we actually don't have to texture it. And the thing is, if we make an orange, we can just reuse that. Also, there it goes. You just need a minute to update. Now the pumpkins are going to be a whole lot bigger than like the pears. So we're going to put this down. And oh, there's actually a slight reflection on the cornucopia. And oh, we also have some weird geometry over here on the pumpkin. Let's see what's causing that. Maybe we should apply the subdivision surface for this. Oh, I'm under particles. But now we can see what the geometry problem is. Hopefully sculpting should be able to take care of this. Or does it just make it worse? Wait, oh, actually there is a there's like a fill crease. There you go. And let's turn the strength all the way up there. And we are slowly yet surely removing this crease. And let's check what it looks like in rendered. Yeah, we moved it on this side, but not on this side. Okay. And now we have our pumpkin. And this is going well. I should probably have done like a different base mesh. And let's add another pumpkin or so. And this one is gonna be like more on top of the pile. In the actual, or maybe we will make it more here. Next, we can do, let's add some oranges because we practically already have the texture for them made, and they are going to be really good with our time limits. So let's add a UV sphere, and let's shrink it down some, and let's shade this smooth, and we are going to just reuse the texture for the pumpkin, and yeah, I'm going to have to get a reference image out for this. 1 second. Oh! Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I never switched back to the Blender view. Oh, okay. If that ever happens again, feel free to tell me in chat. I am so sorry that happened. Here, but I don't know how much was missed, but to catch it up, we finished the pumpkin and we applied the same texture to the orange. Okay, and essentially we just used the noise texture for this part, and we used the stem texture. I don't know how much got missed. I am so sorry. Like, once again, I did not mean for that to happen. Hopefully that wasn't too long. But I am currently gonna get some I'm gonna just look up reference images so I can make this orange look a little. What the? This is not. Okay, and it just goes in and has like a small little green thing. So we can sculpt that quite well easily. Long tab and get this back over here. Well, they keep on selecting the wrong things. Now let's tab, and we're just going to do a standard subdivision so we have a bit more geometry to work with when we sculpt that in. And we probably should not be sculpting in cycles. So what we are going to do is we're going to make a div. Well, I actually might have to turn Dynapo on for this. Oh, shade smooth. There. And what we are going to do is just like this, and to make it a little less perfect, we're going to fill it in with a cloth modifier. And now, because that's a mess of geometry, we are just going to do the stem as a separate object. So we're going to we're just going to use like a tube, and then shrink this down. Okay, new, but we actually don't want a new one. We are just gonna choose our good old, that's the table material. Is that this? Well, I'm just gonna name the materials so I don't get them confused. Okay, so this is the right material. Let's shade this smooth, make it a lot smaller. And then we are just gonna go in here and make it a bit more organic-y. All edge subdivide smoothness 1. Oh, I don't have the actual thing selected. There. And that actually kind of looks like an imperfect orange stem. And let's just join the two of these when we're here. And make... Okay, and let's make some of the final fruits. The scale on this is probably completely off and such, but and here we can add another one there. And let's peek at how it looks in rendered mode. So far so good, and let's temporarily move this back. Next, I think we should make some grapes. Now for the stem, what I am going to do is we use a curve, like a Bezier, or a path will do the same. And now we are going to go into curve mode, but first we are actually going to give this some geometry. And also make its texture our good old friend, the stem texture. And now, we are just to make this look a little... Wait, that's the wrong way. Now we are going to pull this in and pull it. Okay, and now we are just going to select all of it and make it a bit smaller. And then do some random extrudes in various directions for the grapes to come off of. This may not look the best at first, but hopefully, oh, let me turn that off. By the time we're done, it should look a little more how we want it. And yeah, some of these are gonna need to be like lengthened, like this could use a bit more length. And also, you might notice that it doesn't quite have tips just yet. But let's add a UV sphere. And we're going to make this the actual grape thing. So we are going to object, shade smooth. And then let's go shrink it down for now. And pop this into the shading tab. Now this, we want it to be like a light but palish green for a starting point. And we can turn the metallic up and then just completely turn down the roughness. And actually we don't want it to be metallic, but we want it to be shiny. Or actually, roughness, high metallic. Then we just gotta make this, and for this I'm gonna use, noise texture. And this doesn't really need too much texture just yet. And we are gonna use, ooh, oh yeah, a ramp, to a color ramp, and put this into base color. Okay, and oh, welcome to the stream. We are currently working on the cornucopia, and right now we are making some grapes. Okay. And so we are just changing the color here to be a bit more of like a bright green. And right now it looks a little more like a pea, but hopefully that should be fixed. And let's also make this a tad bit more yellow and brighten it up. And that gets the base effect for it that we want. There, for some reason, it takes a bit to recognize that it's been done. And oh, welcome to the stream as well. Here's what we have so far. Ignore the giant floating grape. We'll take care of that. And what we are doing is we are currently attaching this to the stem we made. And shrink this down. It down. Yeah, and oh, also for the viewer who just joined, this is what it looks like so far. But we're not really in like the actual rendered mode right now for the sake of not having it look like this when I move, because that's slightly disorienting. And we are attaching this to this. There, I selected the wrong thing for a second. And now we are just going to put these along each point, and we might want to make this a bit bunchier. And this little thing here is fine as it won't appear from the actual camera angle. But we just have to add these on. And put this on. And then we could move this down. And maybe we just need a few more, but it's not going to be as noticeable because this is going to be super small compared to the rest. And then let's add some more little areas for them to come off of. And hopefully this should start to look more like we want it to. Or, oh, that actually goes through an arrow, so let's just leave that alone. Wait, what the? Okay, it's still linked. And oh, welcome to the stream. We are currently making a cornucopia. This is all what we have done so far, and we are currently working on making the grapes, which are almost done. Right now they're a bit dark because of their position, but we should probably go add some like size variation to the rest of these too. And this is almost attached to its stem. Almost. And let's scale that up some. Let's scale this in a little. Well, actually, let's just scale this one up. Scale this up. Scale this down. Scale it down. Oh, let's scale it up. And scale this one a little more. And we are just trying to add some randomness to the height. And now let's join these grapes all together. And now let's bring it down to the actual scene and start the positioning. And let's get out of edit mode. And here we go. Let's put some in here and bring this down here to the ground level. And let's actually scale this up and rotate some. Oh, actually, no, not in that direction. Let's rotate it like... What? I just want to grab the blue axes. And let's also add some to the main pile that we are slowly going to be building. And now let's add an apple. And then some color variations to like to these and the pumpkins. And then we can make the final pile. So for this, I'm going to reuse the same texture I used for, give me a second, for these, but we are going to make it a different color. So copy this, select here, new texture, paste, and now it's that color, but we want it to be reddish and more, well, apple-like. And we can make this a brighter red. And now we gotta sculpt it to make it a little more deformed like an apple. And then, or let's actually turn Dynapo on for this so we can, and let's also turn, oh, smooth shading is on, right? I don't get how that's shaded smooth, but we are just making it a bit more apple shaped. Let's go in and smooth out some of the more rough parts. And let's also move it up so we can see it better when we're sculpting it. Ooh, yeah, that needs to be smoothed there. And we need to make this crevasse much deeper. And smooth some stuff out. Particularly, we need to make this more on the same level. And we can also rotate it some. And let's see how this looks rendered. Okay, and what we are going to do is we are going to copy and paste the stem we made for the oranges for this. And Hopefully it shouldn't be too hard to get all the geometry for this stem off. But essentially we're just going to copy this and then plop it onto the apple. And then we're going to add some color variations and then finish up the scene. Yeah, and how far are we into this video? And let me hit. Okay, sorry about that. I was just checking on the stream health to make sure there wasn't any lag or anything. So we are just gonna finish select. Sorry, my essentially sensitivity of this is like set to be way too high for what I'm doing. And we just wanna copy, paste the, and oh, we do not want to copy and paste this part. And okay. Okay, we are just selecting this. And let's also get some of this geometry, and then we can finish the copy and paste job for the stem. Whoop, and we don't want to select any of the extra stuff. Odds are this stuff probably won't need to be noticeable, but it will help. So now let's just, I think there's a way to separate this. There, separate. Selection. There, now we have this as a separate object, which is exactly what we needed. So now we're going to go into our, like, moving it on tab, and, oh, we're in edit mode, which is not what we needed. We just need this. I panicked. The origin is slightly off, but it will have to do for now. Okay, this is getting on. And we are just gonna bring this down in here, scale it up. And now it's gonna go this way because we totally messed up the position of the origin. And we are gonna pop this, make it a lot thicker. And let's actually just join these so it has a good origin. And before we join these, let's just unselect everything on this, select everything on this, right click, join, and now we can make this a more apple-y size. And boom, shakalaka. Now if we go back in, and now we are on to the positioning, and next is the selecting the final colors for everything. So let's put an apple in the main cornucopia. And we gotta massively decrease that size. Oh, and it's clipping through one of the grapes a bit. Let's put an apple here-ish. We could like try and do, and then let's get to the part where we start stacking stuff. And let's move this pumpkin a bit farther back. Or nah. Let's make this pumpkin a bit smaller. And we're going to put this pumpkin in more the middle of the pile. Oh, that's levitating. And this apple is actually going into the inside of the cornucopia. Okay. And now what we have to do is we gotta start the actual process of stacking. So let's just start by a simple copy paste job and add like some random rotations and scale that up a bit. And oh, well, actually, one big copy. We're probably gonna have to do smaller copy pastes. Let's make some more grapes in this. Or actually, two grapes that close to each other would not look good. But what we could do is we can get a third pumpkin just in there to make it a little bigger, to kind of fill up the background some and make it look like there's a lot more in there than there actually is. And oh, welcome to the stream. How you doing? Okay, and let's plop this down back. Wait, what the? Wait, where's the curve? Here. Now let's... Is it hidden more? Yeah. Let's make a second variation of these if we go into shading. And this should hopefully not change the color of all of them. Oh, no it does. Okay, so the color variation might not work out for that part. But as we wait, oh, I don't want to move that one. Maybe what's at? Okay, I keep on swearing I joined. Wait, how many are there? Okay, they're two separate objects. Join. Oh, it's because they're a curve and one's okay, that makes sense. Let's go back to the final sorting thingamajigs. And oh, welcome to the stream. We are on the left is the full rendered one, and on the right is kind of the one that isn't really rendered. But let's see. Let's add an apple back there as well. Yeah, we can zoom in. No, actually, there's not much room to zoom in there. Sorry. Okay, and let's see if this is good. Wait, that's the wrong button. Okay. Yeah, I think this is pretty good for the final render. Here, let's actually go now render the image. with the final lighting. I don't know if you guys can see this just yet, so let me get OBS up and change this to from do I have any other one? There, now we can watch the actual finality of this conclude as it slow. Well, that's the wrong thing. I'm dragging on OBS's part. And let's make this more full screen. As it finishes. This is again, OBS is a bit finicky with like new windows. We almost have it fitting. And I actually like to put this here. Here we have a bit of extra space. And now we just watch the final thing render. And it's slowly calculating the lighting for each and every part of the image. And slowly but surely it will finish. This has been a really, really fun stream, and during this time, I just want to thank everyone so much for watching, and oh, what? I guess Blender crashed at the end. I guess we can just do that there. Okay, sorry about that. And let's turn this back to Blender. Okay, I just want to thank everyone so much for watching this stream. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and also and tomorrow's Black Friday, so go buy yourself or a loved one something nice. I hope everyone has really enjoyed this again, and I really cannot stress how much thankful I am for everyone watching this stream. And also here is like the full image for you to see. So thank you guys one last time for watching, and